So in this video, we're going to be covering 3 different generations of the Porsche 911. We're going to be talking about the 997, the 991, and the 992 generation. We'll be discussing the intro into the PDK transmission, the intro to the turbocharged platforms across all trim levels. So if you're new to the Porsche world and it's your first time trying to find the right 911 to suit your needs, we're going to give you enough information in these videos to better help you understand the differences, the pros, the cons, so that way you'll know exactly which one fits your needs best. Let's start with the basics of describing each trim level, what they mean, and the differences between them. So there's gonna be a lot and there's way too many to put on this video, so I'm not gonna get into like all the specific specialty trim levels and the exclusive trim levels. We're just gonna go over the 10 to 12 trims that you're gonna be looking at when you're searching for a 911. Most generations will have all these trim levels as well, especially the 3 that we're gonna discuss. We're gonna start with the Porsche 911. So the Porsche 911 is a rear-wheel drive version of the car, an S model, which is going to be an increase of horsepower, still rear-wheel drive. Then we're gonna go to a 911 4, which is an all-wheel drive version of the car. We have a 4S model, which is an all-wheel drive version of the higher horsepower. Anytime you see 4, you know that it's an all-wheel drive. Then we get into our GTS lineup, which is both offered in rear wheel and all-wheel. Each one of these trim levels are offered in a coupe and a convertible as well. After the GTS, we're gonna go into our turbo, and the turbo is gonna be a huge jump in horsepower. And then we're gonna go into our Turbo S model, which is the highest horsepower offering until you get into your GT car, GT2, GT2 RS, and that's gonna be the primary lineup of trim levels. Next up, we have our Targa lineup, which when it comes to the Targa, that's a completely different version of the 911. Very distinctive design. They do a nice big piece of glass in the rear of the car. It's almost like a T-top design. So the midsection of the roof, it is electronic and it does retract, but only that midsection will be removed and then the big glass will remain. So really cool design. A lot of people love the Targa. It's a really hot car right now. And that's also gonna come in 3 different variations of trim: the Targa 4, the Targa 4S, and the Targa 4 GTS. Last but not least are the GT cars. This is Porsche's most exclusive 911 trim. You're going to have a GT3, a GT3 RS, a GT2, and a GT2 RS. Once again, there's some specialty trims throughout generations, but I'm gonna stick with those 4 as your primary GT cars. The GT3s are naturally aspirated cars across the board, and then the GT2 and GT2 RS are only available in certain generations. These cars are very, very exclusive models. They're allocated cars, so they're not easy to come by. If you were to buy one brand new, you have to have a very lengthy Porsche buying history to be allocated the car and to be able to purchase the car from Porsche. On the pre-owned market, they're the ones that hold the most value and the most popular variant of the car. So for the most part though, if you want something you can drive every day, you're probably not going to be looking in the GT lineup. That's more of a very, very track inspired version of the car. Not that you can't drive it every day, you certainly can. So if you want a more drivable version of a 911, it's definitely not going to be a GT car. If you're looking to have a strictly weekend type car, you could definitely entertain a GT car, but for everyday cruising around or just for more overall comfort, I would definitely choose something in the more standard lineup. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying these videos and you want to see more content like this, consider hitting the subscribe button. So let's get into the first generation we're going to discuss, which is going to be the 2005 to the 2012 version of the Porsche 911, which is also known as the 997 generation. Now, within each generation of a Porsche 911, there's going to be an updated version of that generation, which is also known as a .2. Starting with the 997, we've got 2005 to 2008, a updated body from the previous generation car. It carries the same motor over and just a big body change to the car. Now, when we get into the 2009 to 2012, that's a huge pivotal point for the Porsche 911 brand because it introduces the new motor platform along with the PDK dual clutch transmission. So that's a main pivotal point in the brand for the 911 is that 09 mark. So for the next generation, which is the 991 model of the Porsche 911, that runs from 2013 to 2019. This is when the cars start to get bigger, bulkier, more luxury and amenity features are implemented. Porsche starts to draw a larger crowd and larger attraction towards the car. So from 2013 to 2016, unless you have a turbo, Turbo S, or a GT2 car, all of the platforms are still naturally aspirated platforms. It's not until 2017 to 2019 that a turbocharged platform was implemented across all trim levels. Besides GT3, those stay naturally aspirated, but this is another huge update for the brand. They changed the car up completely. So now if you like the naturally aspirated car in the past, you're kind of handcuffed into going into the previous year, because if you take, say, a 16 911S and a 17 911S, you have a naturally aspirated car on one hand and you have a turbocharged car on another hand, which also added a lot of confusion, because in the past, if you had a turbo or turbo S, everybody knew it was a turbocharged car because it's right in the name. Now you have a 911 base or an S or a 4S, and they're all turbocharged across all trim levels. Not saying that they're the same horsepower across all trim levels. As you go up in trim level, you'll gain horsepower, but they are all turbocharged platforms from 17 on. So for the last generation we're going to cover in this video, it's going to be a 2020 to a 2024, which is the current generation of the Porsche 911, also known as the 992 model. This is when the entire car just completely changes inside and out. You go from having a once before narrow bodied 911 to all 911s are wide body cars now in this generation. For example, in the past, if you had a 911S, that would be a narrow bodied car. If you had a 4S, that would be a wide body car. So in 992, starting in 2020, they are all wide versions of the car. Now the car is as big as it has been out of all generations. It's super wide in the rear. You have a ton of tech updates. A 7-speed PDK was the transmission of the past. Now this is an 8-speed PDK transmission. Once again, more comfort, more amenities, all different sorts of tech. This is the most futuristic model of the car that you can get. So when these cars were first released, they took some serious time to grow on people. They omitted a lot of key features in the 911. For example, like the gear shifter inside, they went from a physical lever to like a little knob now that you're just gonna push up for reverse, pull back for drive. Pretty futuristic type feel inside, which at first everybody was very against. I think now today, everybody's grown to absolutely love all of the tech updates that they've made. So I would say for the masses, the 992 is the fan favorite because it does everything very, very well. For the enthusiast, probably not their favorite, and you probably go back a few generations. What I physically sell the most of are obviously 992s. As you can see, there's a ton of them behind me. Personally, if I were to go out right now and make a 911 purchase, this would be my choice. They just do everything so well. They're a car that you could drive any time of the week. It could be a daily driven car, it could be a weekend driver. Whereas in the past, I'm not saying you can't drive those cars during the week and to work every day, but this is just gonna accommodate in way more aspects than those previous generations. So when it comes to the physical driving experience of these cars, the most raw type driving feel that you're gonna get out of the car is going to be in the previous generation cars. When you get into the 991 and 992 variations of the car, it's gonna feel more automated, you're gonna have more comfort, you're gonna feel less road, but that's good for a lot of people. So if you want to learn about the 3 things that you should know before purchasing a 911, watch this video next.